This is Democracy Watch. So, anybody who's watched this series over the last 70 some odd episodes knows that our focus has been on redrawing Republican gerrymandered maps. I will die on the hill that gerrymandering is the single most anti democratic force that we're contending with right now. But we've got some good news out of Louisiana. Mark, what just happened in that state?
We won. I told you we were going to win, and we won. And not only did we win in court, not only did we win in the Supreme Court, not only did we win and then win again, but in the end of it, they gave up. They gave up. The Republicans in Louisiana, they passed a map that created a second majority Black district. It's not the district as I would have drawn it, but they gave up. And voters of Louisiana will now have two rather than one Black opportunity districts.
For posterity, because I have to ask this question, are there any more appeals or antics or schemes that Republicans can pull in that state?
No, they literally gave up. Like, they literally were like, okay, we are tired of losing. All that happens is, Marc Elias' law firm just keeps suing us and we lose and it's awful and we're probably going to lose again. So we just give up.
Now, we will get another Democratic district, to your exact point, in that state, so we'll have two. But would you say right now that Louisiana's maps are fair?
No, I mean, I'd still look. I think it's a really important question that you ask, because no, I mean, this is a state that is for sure tilted Republican. There's no question, but it just had a Democratic governor. The governor before this one was a Democrat. It has, it's a 55-45 state, and yet we are still now dealing with what is a 4-2 map. So do I think 3-3 would be fairer? Yes, I do. But do I think that it's a legal map? Yes, I do. I think that it is a legal map. It may not be what I would draw as a fair map, but it is a legal map. And for that, we should all be grateful that the plaintiffs that we represented were willing to go to court, that in the end, justice prevailed. And the voters of Louisiana will go to the election booths in November, and will be voting in legal maps. And let's not forget, Brian, that what that means is that the House Republican caucus conference right now, is comprised of illegal maps. Like you've been a leader in pointing this out before. Would they have the majority? Would they have the majority if there had been legal maps in place in all these places in 2020?
By the way, for anybody watching right now, this seems like a good chance to a good opportunity to plug this. But if you want to support Mark and the incredibly important work that he and his team do, especially as it relates to this state right here, Louisiana, that we're talking about, please make sure to sign up for Democracy Docket. It's the free news outlet he founded to focus on everything voting in elections. I'll put the link on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Mark, you'd mentioned the fact that Louisiana did have a Democratic governor. That was the reason that was basically allowed to happen was owed in part to the fact that Louisiana had a jungle primary. Louisiana has now moved to eliminate that jungle primary. What do you think was the rationale here?
So I think you put your finger on it. So for people who don't know, Louisiana has had a unique election system for decades, and they've traditionally been very proud of it. Essentially, it is an open primary in which people run on both parties in one primary. So you could have 3 Democrats and 7 Republicans all running together, and the top 2 vote getters wind up in the general election unless one candidate gets over 50%. And so what that has meant is that you typically will get a more moderate set of candidates, a more moderate Democrat, a more moderate Republican, because you're sort of competing, in this format. That's actually one of the benefits of it, right? That it does tend to weed out the extremists. Well, Governor Landry, who is definitely an extremist, and who did get the governorship in that system, I think wants to move to a closed primary system where only Republicans can vote in the Republican primary, because that's going to bring a more MAGA-like crowd into his primary elections. And I think he thinks it'll benefit him electorally.
Now, I want to go back to the maps for a moment. There was actually some drama in terms of which district would be eliminated in Louisiana, and you had brought up the governor there. Can you talk about what happened internally among Republicans to end up with the district, the specific district that was kind of eliminated and redrawn to be a Democratic district in that state?
Oh boy, was there ever drama. You know how to get to the heart of it. There was drama, drama, and drama. So here's the deal. In the state of Louisiana, you've got the Republican governor, Landry, very conservative. You've got Steve Scalise, the number 2 House Republican, and you have Mike Johnson, now the number 1 House Republican, right? You've got the Speaker of the House. And then you have 2 other members, Republican members, the most important of whom for these purposes is a representative whose last name is Graves. So Graves was an antagonist of Landry's. He endorsed Landry's opponent. He is viewed as a in-state political rival of the governor's, and he sided with McCarthy. He was a McCarthy guy in the House. And so when it came time to what happens if they draw a second majority district, a majority black district, the question was whose Republican district is going to go away? Well, they don't want it to be Mike Johnson. He's the Republican speaker. They don't want it to be Scalise, although maybe, who knows, maybe Johnson wouldn't be so unhappy if it was Scalise and vice versa, just saying. But Landry wanted it to be Graves. And so Graves is now looking for a job. You know, the question is he, do you think he'll become like an oil and gas lobbyist, or?
I don't think that is. I don't think that is a stretch at all. I think it would be more of a stretch to like. I couldn't imagine anything more reasonable than that actually. But you know what is funny about that is Republicans, of course, will be hostile toward Democrats, but there is nobody they're more hostile toward than other Republicans who make their own jobs difficult or who threaten their success. I mean, look what they did to Madison Cawthorn. I mean, you think that Democrats were able to attack Madison Cawthorn when Republicans set their sights on Madison Cawthorn because he was revealing all of their secrets about orgies and whatnot. That guy's half-life turned into 5 minutes in the House. I mean, he was gone faster than anybody I'd seen before. And that was all owed to the fact that Republicans had begun attacking him and they wanted him out. So when you mess with Republicans in that party and when you threaten their success among each other, they do not take it well.
Yeah, well, you know, I on the one hand, I will acknowledge not being above taking enormous joy in the hardship faced by Congressman Graves and him reaping what he has sowed within the sort of viper's pit of Republican politics in the House and in Louisiana. But in all seriousness, it is really, really a good thing for democracy that there is a second black opportunity district now in a state that sorely needs it.
Now, Mark, within your firm, when you wrap up a case like this, does it free up a whole slew of attorneys to then attack another case, like kind of making it a double win? Because not only did you win this case, which was a huge win unto itself, but now it'll also free up this team to bolster the next case, for example.
Yeah. So from my vantage point, yes, I'm laughing because I think they would say free up is a relative term. You know, we are litigating 45 voting and election cases in 18 states. So I don't think they feel particularly freed up. I think that they feel like one fewer thing, but you know, just as
what are they going to do with their hours and hours and hours of free time now?
Yeah. Not a lot of free time. I mean, the fact is Republicans are always up to something. And of course, we're now in an election year, so they're up to more no good than before. So just as soon as one case gets resolved, you know, I've offered this to Republicans. So let me look at the camera and make this offer very, very clear. If Republicans would stop suppressing the vote and stop trying to subvert elections and stop gerrymandering, I'll stop suing them for suppressing the vote, engaging in election subversion and gerrymandering. But until then, we're going to be really busy, and I think we're going to be busy for a while.
You know, they've offered you what? I think the last estimate was $500 million.
$500 million
to come over to their side. It would be a hell of a lot cheaper if they just stopped putting forward these voter suppression laws that will ultimately get struck down anyway. But you know, I guess they're opting not to do that.
Yeah, that it's in their DNA. You
Yeah.
know, they know they can't win on a level playing field. They can't win when everyone votes. They can't win when the districts are not rigged. So this is all they got left.
Well, with that said, congratulations to you and your team and voters in Louisiana for a huge win here. That is finally settled. There will be a second majority black district in that state.
Just
Again,
like
for those,
Alabama, just like Alabama.
just like Alabama. So we're notching them up right here. For voters, again, for anybody watching who wants to support Mark and his team in this extraordinarily important work that he and the team are doing, please, again, make sure to sign up for Democracy Docket. Links on this screen and in the post description. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.